Hi, this is Savannah,
And this is Brian from the Dorky Diva Show,
and you're listening to Star Wars.
the best place for below average Star Wars.
In a world where people need 80s and 90s movie reviews, two regular Geordies combine forces to bring you the Brother to Brother 80s and 90s movie review podcast. Check them out on Twitter, YouTube, and all decent podcast vendors.
Star Wars, best place for below average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the best place for below average Star Wars. I am the Jolly Jedi Pete, and I'm joined by Kat and Iain. Kat, how are you doing?
I'm not doing too bad at all. Excited by all the celebration news going around at the moment.
Yes, it's almost like there's too much going on. We've got celebration around the corner. We've got the debut of Obi Wan Kenobi around the corner. It's almost like it's going to get mental.
It almost feels like Christmas because it's just one thing after another of all these amazing presents to unwrap, whether it's on Disney Plus or from Celebration.
It is indeed. Iain, have you got enough time in the day? I know I'm struggling to sort of deal with what's going on at the minute. Just Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. It's a fever dream right now.
Yeah, mate. Like I said, I keep trying to keep on the top of the news, but things slip through. You've told me a few things this morning, obviously, before we went on to record this podcast. But no, yeah, it's a great time. Like I wouldn't swap it for anything. Just I wish there was a few more hours in the day, if I'm being honest. But that's not a bad problem to have.
Indeed, for me, it's like I think Kat said it right when it's like Christmas, but it's also not because we haven't got any extra days off. There's no bank holidays going around, so it's like we have to fit this in around our normal lives, our normal jobs, our normal commitments, to family, to friends. It's crazy. So this is all for me. I'm in the middle. My house is gone for sale this week, so we've got a lot of people trying to arrange viewings, and I'm like, well, not Friday morning because Kenobi debuts Friday morning. And then obviously this week I'm trying to watch. I watched The Phantom Menace yesterday in my prep for Kenobi. I'm going to be watching Attack of the Clones today. Maybe Revenge of the Sith, and then maybe Rogue One tomorrow. So again, you know, the wife's booking in these viewings, and I'm like, well, if they turn up while the prequel trilogy's on, I'm not going to be fully invested. So I got wrong. I got wrong for saying that, and I had to take that back. Obviously, I didn't mean it, but I had to take it back. So yeah, it is big issues, and all this stuff's happening. There's a lot to fit in to 1 week. It is the 25th of May today, so it is the anniversary of when Star Wars was first released. 45 years old today is the original Star Wars movie. Did you know it debuted in just 43 theatre screens? Opened with 1.5 million. Obviously, spawning a franchise that would sort of later gross well over, well over 7 billion worldwide now. It's crazy to think of the humble beginnings of Star Wars and how when it came out, it opened in such a sort of a small set of theatres, and then word of mouth got out, and it spread almost like a virus, you could say, for lack of a better term. Started small and spread across the world, where it's this huge, the greatest franchise ever made, you could say. Kat, what's your thoughts when you think about how Star Wars started so small, but then just gathered momentum and was so big?
It's incredible to think, really, because when Star Wars debuted in cinemas, it was a very quiet release, and it was slated by so many people, other directors, film critics. It was so different and so new, and George Lucas really he actually set a trend that is now very common in cinema, but wasn't back then. The credits were not before the movie. Because he wanted the crawl to explain some of the story, the credits didn't come before the movie. They came at the end. And this was not done back in 1977, and it caused a lot of ruffled feathers, and yet these days it's the norm. The credits come at the end of the movie. But back then it wasn't. So it was visionary, and I think what George Lucas created with Star Wars, the world wasn't ready for it. And then it started to gain fans, and the way it then became this phenomenon is just quite incredible. Yeah, it had humble beginnings, a bit like Luke Skywalker, and then it became a Jedi. And the film is such a classic. It's the first Star Wars film I saw on DVD, and it sets up so much story in the film. And yeah, I think while it might have been released to, like I said, a bit of uproar from filmmakers, slating from film critics, what it's become now is just this classic piece of cinema, because George Lucas did so much of that film, not just story-wise, but with the effects, and they have gone on to influence so much cinema. I mean, what film or book can you read these days that doesn't have a Star Wars reference?
Definitely. And you think about some of the big directors today who were influenced by Star Wars. Some of them have got to work on Star Wars eventually. Your likes of your Gareth Edwards and your Rian Johnsons, your J.J. Abrams. Your likes of your Jon Favreau's who are working on Star Wars now, but have also looked to revolutionise cinema with the way they've done Disney projects like The Jungle Book and Lion King before coming to Star Wars. The likes of Taika Waititi, who is unabashedly unashamed of his humanist style, and creates some of the most fun, entertaining movies and series out there today. I'm sure there's more names you can name as well, but I think it has left its mark on the world. It's crazy to think it's 45 years old. I'm 33, and to think that this thing's been around 45 years, and to think that how involved we are inside sort of the Star Wars bubble, to think that the bubble's been around longer than us is sort of crazy. It's a bit of a mind warp. What's your thoughts, Iain, on sort of how the Star Wars was around, more than 10 years before us, but like it's probably going to be here a lot longer after us as well?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I do think Star Wars will be around forever. Like, it's such a vast universe to tell stories in, and just the fact that I'm 30, like you said, so it was out 15 years before I was even born, and just that ability to touch different generations and still be as relevant today as it was back in 1977 is crazy. I can't really expand on much more. Like, Kat covered it all when it said about the importance, but just I was watching A New Hope not long ago, and it still holds up really well to this day, which is crazy, really, that a film that was filmed in 1977 holds up that well to this day. That's said, George Lucas created an absolute masterpiece, which obviously launched one of the greatest franchises, if not the greatest franchise of all time. And I'm so happy he did, because Star Wars means the world to me, and I know it means the world to both of you as well. So that's my thoughts, mate, really, on that.
Definitely, I think, the movie, even areas where, the visual effects maybe, I'm not saying haven't held up, but maybe like could be better now. I think because of the feel of the movie, because it feels so real, like, the way everything's sort of a dirty, lived-in feel, the skill that was used on all the models and the costumes is fantastic. I think John Williams' theme really gives it a feel that, like, because it feels so real, it tricks your mind into thinking this is real. This is a real story. It's modern mythology. Do you know what I mean? I think it allows you to buy into it even more subconsciously, which again is another thing that George got right. When he was like, "No, we're going to have a classical score. We're going to make it lived in, gritty, attention to detail on costumes and props. and models is going to be top notch. We're going to spend the money on it. All of that allows you to sort of live in that world very easily. And it's one of the reasons why we become addicted to Star Wars, I believe. Speaking of anniversaries, it's also Frank Oz's birthday. So happy birthday, Frank Oz. Of course, voice and puppeteer of the great Jedi Master Yoda. Kat, what's one of your favourite Yoda moments throughout the entire Star Wars canon?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think I'd have to probably pick when he's teaching the younglings in Attack of the Clones. I think that is a gorgeous scene because he's really great with those kids, and the line to me of wonderful, truly wonderful, the mind of a child is, and I think it's so true. Children don't think like adults, and they make crazy connections, and they have amazing imaginations. And I think Yoda can see sort of the magic within children, let alone their force powers. And that scene in particular, especially because he also then sort of jokes with Obi Wan that he's lost the planet. It's one of the less serious moments with Yoda, and I think it's sort of nice to see his funnier and more gentle side.
Yeah, I think for me that scene as well, because what Obi-Wan's talking about is very serious because someone has deleted the planet out of the archives, which is very sinister. But obviously in that room and in that setting, Yoda keeps it sort of fun to sort of, keep those younglings sort of happy in a good place. And obviously they have the discussions later about how serious it is that someone's deleted it out of the archives. So it goes to show Yoda knows his audiences. I think one of my favourites, Kat, and you'll probably know better than me, is in one of the Star Wars comics where Yoda ends up stuck on a world and he ends up joining this sort of tribe and working with the tribe.
Storm power, yeah.
And the way he gives himself to learning about the tribe and the tribe's ways, I thought was a really fantastic quality of Yoda's, where he is the Jedi Grandmaster, but guess what? He's always willing to learn, which is one of my favourite things. And then also one of my favourite moments is, of course, Yoda in The Last Jedi. I just love it when he comes back and he tells Luke that, failure is not the end. Failure is also a lesson. Failure is actually the greatest lesson. We can learn from it and come back and make a better decision. And in that moment, that's a lesson Luke needs, because, he does end up taking that lesson to heart, and then he comes back and sort of saves the resistance, the rebellion, at the end of the movie because of that lesson from Yoda. Very, very powerful stuff. And obviously I always get a tear in my eye in Return of the Jedi when Yoda tells Luke that it's time for forever sleep, and he's going to pass away. But also that Yoda's not afraid of that. He's very matter of fact. I'm going to die now, Luke. But I'm not afraid. Ben Kenobi obviously tells him Yoda will always be with you. But that sort of no fear in the face of death is another great quality of Yoda's. Iain, what's your favourite Yoda moment throughout all of Star Wars canon?
Apart from obviously his introduction in The Empire Strikes Back, I really like his arc in season 6 of the Clone Wars, where he goes on a spirit journey. It obviously takes him to the Wellspring of Life. It takes him to Malachor. I really like that arc of the Clone Wars, where we spend a bit more time with Yoda, obviously learning from Qui-Gon Jinn. I thought that was really a cool arc. Obviously, he ends up on Dagobah in that arc as well. Probably giving him the vision to go to Dagobah. Another thing I did like, I'll go up the thing, from a certain point of view, I think it's Empire Strikes Back. I did like his story in that as well, where we... so yeah, they're my favourite moments of Yoda. I'm just trying to think if there's any more. The Attack of the Clones as well, where he fights Count Dooku, because that was crazy, because we've been waiting for that for years.
I think, you mentioned that Clone Wars arc, and for me, one of my favourite parts in that one is, I believe, Anakin helps him escape the Jedi Temple, I believe, at the beginning, and they have a bit of an adventure at the start. And, we really get to see Yoda and Anakin sort of bonding together in the beginning of that arc, which I thought was really cool to see. And again, connects Anakin to these people who he ends up betraying in the end. Again, it adds more to Anakin's sort of turn, seeing him interact with Yoda like that. and sort of being Yoda's friend in that moment. And obviously, I think you're right. Yoda's interactions with Qui-Gon Jinn during that arc are absolutely wonderful, and some of the best Star Wars storytelling going. Moving on from that, happy birthday Star Wars, happy birthday Frank Oz. Woke up this morning to a couple of merch announcements. So the Hasbro Star Wars Celebration event exclusive will be able to pre-order at the event. In true Hasbro fashion, looks like none are actually ready to buy at the event. Who'd have thought when you knew this was coming for years? Hasbro will be giving out a one-time use pre-sale ticket to attendees of Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. It's going to be $40, and it is a Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch The Mandalorian Jon Favreau figure as Paz Vizsla. So Paz Vizsla is the heavy trooper Mandalorian figure that they've already released about 3 times in 3 different paint jobs. And now they've just essentially taken probably a Happy Hogan head from the Hasbro Marvel Legends line, which is also 6 inches, and put it onto this trooper they've already got. So I can see why it's exciting for some people, but for me, I think, for a Celebration exclusive, I want like either A, a really, really cool character, or B, like a figure never before seen in the line. Something that's a new figure, new tooling, something that's special. But for me, this is like the box is new, but they've essentially took a Happy Hogan head from the Marvel Legends line and put it on top of a figure. So they've done no retooling. This figure's probably cost them no extra money to make. I just think, we haven't had a celebration since 2019, and I would just expect better from them. Kat, what's your thoughts on the Jon Favreau Paz Vizsla Celebration exclusive?
Considering some of the exclusives we've had in the past, including Rey and Luke exclusives, that incredible Thrawn exclusive, which I think was SDCC actually and not Celebration, but I digress. I do think that while it is a really cool figure to bring sort of Jon Favreau into the Black Series line, it's not the most inspired of choices. And I certainly think they could have done an actual Star Wars character that we've not seen in the Black Series, which at this point is a huge amount because they keep re-releasing figures and just repainting them. And I do think that not having it to buy at Celebration is completely bonkers, because I think what most people are going to be doing is buying the tickets and then just shoving it on eBay or Mercari or some other resale website for a massive amount of money and not actually buy the figure. So I don't think it's the smartest move Hasbro have made marketing wise. While it is, it is a cool figure, it could have been so much more amazing. We could have actually had a character that we haven't seen from The Mandalorian. We could have had somebody from the Book of Boba Fett. Heck, they knew Kenobi was coming out. They could have done something to tie in with that as an exclusive. Or something exclusive from like Attack of the Clones, like a 20th anniversary Kaminoan. So yeah, not my favorite exclusive that Hasbro have done.
Yeah, I mean, let me just put. I mean, the fact the figure's not ready, but the figure's just. They do all the parts on those figures. They've got the ability to make in the factory from the first time they made it. So really, there's no extra tooling done. So there's not as if there's been delayed production because of that. Like that should be ready to go. And I think you're right. I think what they'll do is they'll hand these pre-sale vouchers out. People will be selling the vouchers online, but people won't buy the vouchers if that makes sense. The vouchers will be free. People will be selling them. Be people trying to duplicate them, I'd imagine. I mean, whatever stock's left, they'll go for sale on Hasbro Pulse anyway. So, but yeah, it just seems clustered. But also, somebody who's getting a lot of chatter these days, why didn't they just make the first ever time in the line 6-inch Dexter from Dexter's Diner for Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary? That figure would sell straight away. Yeah. I think what you said about the about Camino Cat, if you put a 6-inch scale Camino in, which would need to go in like a bigger box because of how tall they are, again, that would sell out. You put in Attack of the Clones figure packaging, like they did with the Phantom Menace ones. And it's, everybody gets excited. You're going to make loads of money, and people are getting a good product. Where instead it's, looking at this Jon Favreau figure, it doesn't even come with any extra accessories. Like, obviously the helmet's removable now. It wasn't before, but other than that, it looks the same in the pictures. I mean, they might add something to it because they've got time to, but I just think it's just lazy. And when you look at how good the Hasbro Legends line is, which is sort of the same line in the Marvel series, it's just really frustrating. You going to be picking up a Jon Favreau Paz Vizsla figure?
Probably not, no, mate. Like I said, it's a bit of a... I get why some people think it's cool. I do. And in part of me does think it is cool to have a Jon Favreau action figure. But it could. There was more inspiring choices. There's so many characters I can think off the top of my head that I don't think we've seen in the Star Wars Black Series line that would sell out instantly. It's a hill I'll die on forever. I want a Galen Marek Starkiller 6-inch one. If you do the special one for Celebration, I think that would sell out instantly. So it's I can see why people think it's cool, but I won't be getting one, mate, because that's just not for me.
Kat, have you seen that there's going to be an Obi Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader Lego Brickheads set?
I have. It looks really impressive, and the brickheads are quite quiet at the moment within the Lego theme. They've been sort of focusing more on the pets, and there's been a few tie-ins, but this has been the first big Star Wars brickheads news since Ahsoka, which was the brickheads number 250. And it looks really good. It's been several years since they've done Darth Vader, and you can see the improvements in this one. And Obi-Wan looks fantastic, so I think I will definitely be picking that one up.
Do you collect any of the Lego sets, Iain?
No, not really. I had the Anakin Skywalker, just the pod racing one for the Phantom Menace 20th anniversary, but no, I do like Lego, but like I said, it's very expensive and time consuming. But no, I do. I really wanted Vader's castle from Rogue One. I did want that one a few years back, but never got round to it. I might try and pick that up eventually, but no, just at the moment, I don't have many Lego sets.
Jazwares, who are having a bit of a resurgence at the minute with their AEW wrestling figure line, have a Star Wars license, Micro Galaxy Squadron. So this reminds me of Micro Machines, the play sets. And what this Micro Galaxy Squadron is, they've just announced, and they do have a booth at Star Wars Celebration. It'll be booth number 2804 if you want to go check out the Jazwares booth. So the Millennium Falcon, so it's like a micro play set of the Millennium Falcon. It comes with small little miniature figures that can play inside the play set, and also the play set opens up to like the interiors of the Millennium Falcon. So I don't know the price point, but it does look really cool, and I remember how much I love playing with my Micro Machine play sets when I was sort of ages 8 to 11, how much fun I had with those, and this looks very much like that, but even more detailed with sort of today's quality of toys. So they've announced the Millennium Falcon, but I imagine there's more to come in the line. The Falcon's limited edition, launch edition Millennium Falcon, so we'll see if that's Celebration exclusive or not. I don't know. That's very exciting. Kat, have you ever played with the Micro Machines or seen the Micro Machine play sets?
Not for this range. I tell you what, I did have the Littlest Pet Shop micro figures, which are tiny and basically the same concept of you had a little play set with these tiny little animals to move around, but no, nothing to do with Star Wars ones. I only got into Star Wars in 2015 when The Force Awakens came out. So most of my childhood was spent not playing with Star Wars. Looking back, I do regret that, but that gives me an excuse now to buy all the figures to make up for it.
Definitely. I think I had a C-3PO head, that Micro Machine head, that when you opened it up into sort of a Mos Eisley Cantina / hangar play set. And it came with like the Millennium Falcon and like small little figures in the Cantina bar. So it was really cool. I also had I want to say it was Darth Vader, and it was a Bespin, like a Cloud City play set. They give you sort of all the areas you see on Bespin, including sort of where Luke and Vader fight. I believe that memory's a bit more distant than the C3PO one. So I could be wrong with my mixing sets up, but yeah, like that's my two memories of that. Where you'd open the head up and it would have a different playset inside. Where this is like you open the Falcon up and it's the Falcon inside, which I think is really, really cool. Ian, did you ever play with Micro Machines?
I vaguely remember them. I remember the name, but I don't remember what they really were. But yeah, no, I do remember the name vaguely. They look cool. I remember seeing them as a kid. Yeah, I do remember seeing them as a kid, but no, I never played with them. But it does sound cool what you're describing, like.
Definitely. So, like I said, this is the Micro Galaxy Squadron from Jazwares. The Millennium Falcon is the launch edition. It does look pretty fantastic. I'm definitely not going to be able to buy it because it's even more geared towards kids than my current collection. But we'll try and sneak it in. We'll see if Louise notices. And the other rumored drop today is HasLab exclusive. As we all know, HasLab, it's where a product from Hasbro goes up for sort of pre-order. You have to commit to it. You have to, back it, essentially. If they hit the right amount of buyers, so let's just say the number is 8,000. That's a guess, by the way. If 8,000 people commit to buying that product, then they will make the product. And then if the product goes past the 8,000 to say 10,000, there might be a stretch target where they give you like extra accessories, extra products for the product. And there's usually a couple of different stretch targets. So what they've said is it's going to be a lightsaber, which I think is the first time they've done that. And it's going to be a Reva, the third Inquisitor, the third sister Inquisitor from the Kenobi series. It's going to be her lightsaber. I haven't seen a price point yet.
I think I might have.
From what I've heard, sort of Reva sort of the handle, the scenes where Reva's handle's like just a half moon, and then there's scenes where it's also a full moon. So I think the handle flips out to create the Inquisitor lightsaber as well, which could be a cool little design point. Have you got the price point there, Kat?
Right, well, this is sort of what I've been seeing on social media, and do not quote me or think this is accurate at all, but there has been rumors that it's around $500, which is a lot for a lightsaber.
Especially when it's not one of these legend editions from the Disney parks, which seem to be the best ones so far. I think the lightsabers in this line that Hasbro make usually go for around £200 to £300. So this one's obviously considerably more. Obviously, it is double ended, so maybe that's part of the reason. But for me, it's expensive. But we need to see what else the saber can do, I suppose. Which is when it goes officially up, we will see that. Ian, you fancy getting yourself an Inquisitor lightsaber?
I do, mate. I do. I've seen, obviously, in the trailer her lightsaber, not up close, but just offhand, it does look really cool. The Inquisitor lightsabers are really cool to me. I know a lot of people are on the fence about lightsaber helicopters and all that type of stuff. I happen to like them in Rebels. I would love one. 500 quid's a bit at my price point at the moment. But if they do it like a normal one, I would be very interested. There's a few lightsabers I want to pick up, to be honest. I wanted the Rey Skywalker one, I wanted the Darth Revan one, I wanted the Darksaber one, but like you said, same for a wedding, I can't really justify buying one. So hopefully one day I'll have a bit more of a lightsaber collection once I obviously pay for my wedding, which is important, my missus tells me.
It is indeed, it is indeed. Problem you're going to have, but this one is that so let's say 20,000 people back it, so 20,000 people get it.
Yeah.
So it means if you didn't get it, you are now at the mercy of people reselling them.
Oh no, I meant if they made like the normal Black Series, like line lightsaber, if you know what I mean, the FX ones.
Yeah, so like that's what this is. But it's a HasLab version.
Oh, right.
So I mean, they're not going to do that because that would piss everybody off who's paid £500. The reason why they're getting you back is because it is an exclusive. So it's sort of if you look at how much these sail barges go for and the Razor Quests go for that they've done in the line before, you can sometimes so the Razor Quest, for example, came with figures inside of it. You can resell the figures inside the pack for to make the money back on the actual Razor Crest itself.
That's,
Um,
yeah, no, that's, no, I see what you mean. Yeah, there is some really cool lightsabers out there. Though. I do want to get a few.
yeah. For me, I think because I've only seen them in the box, I've seen the handles on pictures. I think the handles don't look quite as good as the ones from the Disney parks. So for me, it's always like I'd probably rather go to Disney parks and get go to Savvy's workshop or not Savvy's workshop. 'Cause that's where you make your own lightsaber. Sorry, which does look awesome. Not sorry, but Dock on Doors, yeah. Den of Antiquities, where you can pick up like sort of the lightsaber hilts from the saga, the Legend series, and those things look absolutely wonderful. And they look more detailed. And I mean, I've not seen both of them in person, but from the pictures I've seen, those ones look better. The only issue being you have to be at Disney parks to buy them, I suppose.
I think some of them are on Shop Disney. Sometimes I think for like May 4th and things.
So I've seen them pop up, but it looked like it was like more of a USA thing, and then there was only like numbered to like 500, which was sold out straight away. So they're very protective of that product, which I suppose is good because it makes people want it more. Like it's not available willy nilly. Do you know what I mean? It's we might put it online, but guess what? It's going to be limited quantities and it's going to sell out within 20 minutes, maximum. So hopefully Disneyland Paris finally gets its Star Wars land bit built, and then maybe we can get them from there. Hopefully. Any other merch you guys want to talk about?
There has been that announcement about the new Lego Attack of the Clones set.
Do you want to talk us through those?
Yes. So, in honor of the 20th anniversary, Lego have brought out. I'm trying to look at this. I haven't got a set number currently. Oh yes, now I do. 75333 Obi Wan Starfighter, and that comes with Attack of the Clones, Obi Wan, his droid, and the first ever minifigure of a Kaminoan.
Very nice. That'll be getting sold afterwards on its own for big money.
The Kaminoan looks quite interesting. They've done a new head mold to try and capture sort of the elongated neck. I think it's going to be one of those minifigures that looks better in real life. And they've also revealed 75336 Inquisitor Transport Scythe, which is the Inquisitor ship that we see in the Obi-Wan trailer. And that comes with Obi-Wan, Reva, the Grand Inquisitor, and the Fifth Brother as minifigures. So this is a pretty cool set because we've got most of the main cast in one, and the minifigures do look excellent. The printing on them is super detailed, and we get all those Inquisitor lightsabers.
That is a minifigure party, isn't it?
It really is. And it's quite rare for the LEGO group to sort of put the whole main cast in one set. So when they do that, pick them up because there's quite good value for money at that point.
Definitely. I did have 2 books arrive this week. Obviously, on Saturday, I fly to Turkey on holiday, so I'll be trying to watch Celebration from the poolside. But I did get The Rise and Storm by Kevin Scott, obviously the second novel in the High Republic series. Obviously, I've read the first one, like The Jedi, loved it. I'm currently reading Into the Dark by Claudia Gray, one of the sort of the YA novels that spin off from it. But the next main story point is The Rise and Storm, which I've picked up. I've got it, got on Amazon. And I also picked up Star Wars Brotherhood by Mike Chen, which is sort of a story between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, which sort of tells the story of Anakin becoming a Jedi Knight. I'm like one chapter in. But yeah, so I'm excited to read both of those books over the next week or so. As I said, hopefully by the pool while checking out the Celebration live stream. Iain, are you going to be checking out the Celebration live stream over the weekend?
I am, yes. I'll obviously look at what time the panels are and obviously figure out what time they come out in the UK. But yeah, I'll have I don't obviously watch everything. I just tend to watch the panels, and then if I've got nothing on, I'll stick the live stream on in the background. Sometimes it's nice because they talk to some of the characters and all the actors who play the characters and that, and you get like a fun moment. Sometimes, obviously, celebrities are there and all that type of stuff. I remember seeing CM Punk there. Was it the last one CM Punk was at?
Yeah, so I mean, I was by the. I mean, at the time it was called sort of the Star Wars Show live stage, which obviously the Star Wars Show doesn't exist anymore, but they are back with the sort of the same setup. They will be streaming it live. So I was like by the live stage. You can get it's on the show floor, so you can watch the show from there. So I was like probably about 80 meters away from CM Punk when he came on, which was pretty awesome.
I remember seeing that, and but no, yeah, like I said, I'll have the live stream on. I'll watch the panels. I can't wait to potentially get some stuff, but we'll go into what we think we could get. But no, yeah, I like watching them. Super jealous of everyone there. I will get to one day. It's like my idea of heaven, so I will get to one day. But no, yeah, super excited, mate. Super excited to see what is announced, what we see, what details we get about other shows that might not have been announced, and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think for anybody who's attending, obviously I think the panel lotteries have been drawn now, so obviously there might be, say for example, 20,000 people are going every day. The main panels might only seat up to say 5,000, for example. So you might not get into all the panels you want, but if you get yourself to the celebration live stage, you can they'll stream the panels live there. Andy and Anthony from the Star Wars Show, along with other people, will be hosting that stage live as well, interacting with you, bringing cast and crew on, bringing celebrity guests on to talk Star Wars. Often throw like t-shirts in the crowd and stuff, and you can watch stuff from there that you haven't got tickets for. So it's still a great experience, and a lot of fans around that area as well. So you're still with sort of people who are loving what they're watching. So it's still a great experience. I enjoy both. I love being in the panels, but for those times when you can't get the panels, head to that stage, watch it on the live stream while you're there. And like I said, it's still a great experience. And obviously the live stream is fantastic that they're doing that again this year. Obviously it got announced really late. Only got announced like last week before that they were actually doing the live streams. I've heard that's because they were having not trouble, but they hadn't secured a sponsor yet, and they wanted to secure a sponsor for the stage, which they've now done. So like I said, it's going to be good for us fans who can't attend this year. It means that we can watch the stream. So it'll still be a fantastic experience. Kat, what's the things you're most excited about learning about at Star Wars Celebration?
There are some amazing panels coming up, but I am particularly excited for the High Republic Light and Life panel, as there's probably going to be reveals and announcements about Phase 2 of the High Republic coming this fall, and I can't wait to hear from the creators of the High Republic, the amazing authors, comic artists, and everybody who's from the Lucasfilm Story Group who has been involved in creating this incredible new part of the Star Wars galaxy and timeline. So I'm really excited for that one. I know that Del Rey have also got a panel. I think that's sort of a behind the scenes look, but that will probably include some announcements of the upcoming Star Wars books. A lot to do with the Star Wars literature for me. But I mean, I will watch as many panels as I can. I saw on Twitter today that the wonderful Kevin Scott has retweeted some genius who has done the time conversions for everybody in the UK of all the major panels that have been announced. And I can see that most of them are starting around 7 p.m. So it's perfect for grabbing some snacks and a drink and just relaxing too.
I hope someone does one for the Turkish times, because obviously I will be in Turkey, so I'll have to double check. Good thing about live streaming is, even if you miss it, you can put it on the next morning, I suppose, if you have sort of missed it, which is good. Is there any particular shows you want to hear about? Any announcements or clips or art that you want to see from any upcoming shows, Kat?
I would love it if we could have a teensy clip from Andor, because I think this is the Star Wars show that is being kept the most hush-hush, but I think it's going to be really amazing. I think this is going to be the Star Wars series that's going to surprise us all. So to have a teaser trailer or a behind-the-scenes look at Andor would be really exciting.
Definitely, I think with Andor, I think I've said it before. I think it's the sleeper show. It's the show that not many people were speaking about, especially going into Kenobi and Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. But I think it had quite an extensive shooting period of many different locations. I think it's going to blow our minds of how awesome it is. And from what I've heard unofficially, is that season 2 is going to be 12 episodes. So I think season 1 that we're going to be getting this year, probably in the summer. I think they've said now, late summer. And it's going to be how Andor becomes involved with the rebellion, essentially. And then season 2 is going to be 12 episodes, apparently. Again, take this with a pinch of salt. And it's going to follow sort of the character from that point then into Rogue One, which sounds really, really exciting. Speaking of that tweet cat that you mentioned, UK Star Wars fans, so I'll just read through some of the panels here. So on Thursday at UK time of 7 p.m. is the Lucasfilm Studio Showcase. So, that could be where we see maybe some clips from Andor, maybe some art from Andor, maybe some art from Ahsoka, maybe some, on-set pictures of Ahsoka, maybe, because, they're shooting that now with Dave Filoni. He's going to be at Celebration, so they're obviously not shooting over the weekend. So, why not take a couple of behind-the-scenes pictures and bring them to Celebration at Whet All Appetites. And then at 11 p.m. on the Thursday, the High Republic, The Light for Life. So tomorrow night, Kat, is when you're going to be busy. Friday, 7 p.m, we've got Light and Magic. That is the Disney Plus showcase, I believe. Disney Plus show, sorry. 8:30 Lucasfilm Publishing, and then at 10 p.m, Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary panel. And then at 11:30, we've got the Hasbro Star Wars panel. Again, we don't know if all of these will be actually live streamed. This is just the UK times of these panels. But they usually try to show as many of them as possible on the live stream. Or if they can't show the whole panel, will maybe just show bits of it or talk about the points. The hosts of the live stream will talk about some of the points that have been raised for the day. On Saturday, 7 p.m, we've got Mando Plus. So that's a sit-down conversation with the Disney Plus guys and all about that. 9 p.m, behind the scenes of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. So I think both those panels will probably be Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni heavy. 10:30 p.m, Tales of the Jedi, which I believe is the new possibly animated show that me and Iain spoke about a couple of episodes ago.
It is, mate.
And then at 12:30 a.m, if you start Marvel Star Wars comics. And then at 2 a.m. UK time on the Saturday night / Sunday morning, we've got Del Rey behind the scenes. So look at the Star Wars publishing there. Then on Sunday, 7 p.m, the Bad Batch Season 2. 8 p.m, a look back at Star Wars Visions. 11 p.m, the closing ceremony. So a busy Thursday through Sunday for everybody attending, obviously, but also those at home. There'll be opportunities to sort of check out, if not those panels in full, parts of them or the news that drop sort of will be revealed by the hosts of the live stream feed. Like I said, the two main hosts are Andy Gutierrez and Anthony Carboni, along with some others. I think maybe even Kirsten Baver from This Week in Star Wars, which sort of replaced the Star Wars show on YouTube, will be involved in that as well. Iain, what are you most looking forward to sort of seeing or hearing about from Star Wars Celebration?
I'm most looking forward to an Andor trailer. I think that'll be cool. Because I think it said in Vanity Fair that's supposed to be released summer 2022, so it's not too far away now. So I think it's about time they start ramping up like the marketing for Andor. So I think that'll be cool to see a trailer of that, to see what that show will entail. I'd like to get some news on the Acolyte. I've seen a few quotes from Leslie Headland this morning, which sound really cool, about obviously being set 100 years before the Phantom Menace. So I'm really looking forward to potentially getting something. I know they haven't started filming or anything yet. They're in the casting phase at the moment. But I think it'd be cool just to get something, maybe a little anything from the Acolyte. I'm trying to think. I'd love a tease of Thrawn. I'm being honest. Just do Dave Filoni can, like you said, can do a behind the scenes photo of maybe flight of Thrawn silhouette or that type of thing. That'd be pretty cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to all that. I'm always looking forward to publishing news to see what books we're getting, because after Shadow of the Sith, apart from the High Republic stuff, I don't know if there's any other novels coming out like that are not set in the High Republic. So it'd be cool to get some announcements there on some stuff that. Like I said, I love the High Republic, but even I do like the books that are not set there as well. Obviously, with Shadow and the Sith and Brotherhood. And then the main thing I do want is some movie news. Is what we're getting for the next film. What's the plan? I don't think it looks like it's not going to be Rogue Squadron next, which is obviously the plan originally. It looks like it might be Taika's film next, but are we still going to get a film in 2023? Are we still? Are we going to get any movie news? That's the one thing that is missing at the moment is a Star Wars movie to look forward to.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a movie in 2023 just because Taika's movie's not shooting yet. Rogue Squadron is not shooting yet. Obviously Rogue Squadron was probably going to be the one that was going to get done first. Patty Jenkins, the director and producer, has obviously got other projects at other major studios that sort of took contractually happened before that movie. So it was always going to be sort of hers and Taika's were going to be the next two movies, I think. Both are still in development. Another furthest along in development. So, I think, you'd be rushing Taika to push for a 2023 date. I think they just need to get that right. Like, do you know what I mean? I think they put these dates in advance in case a project comes up, if that makes sense. Like, just with the scheduling things, as they said, Untitled Lucasfilm project could come out in 2023. But guess what? The project doesn't exist to go into that space yet, so it's fine. I think, the big thing is Disney Plus and the streaming. I think as we've seen in that article that came out, the Vanity Fair article, the future of Star Wars is television. The rebellion is televised was the article name. I think this current era of Star Wars, we've had the sequel trilogy and now we're in this Mandoverse phase, I would say. And also quite not because Kenobi doesn't really fall in the Mandoverse, but, we're in this television phase where, Disney's put a lot of money into Disney Plus, a lot of money. It was Bob Iger's leaving gift to the company. I think, if you look at the failure, you look at Netflix struggling now. I think this is, Disney know that they need to keep Disney Plus right for it to be successful. You can't just rest on your laurels that everything will be okay. You need to put time and effort and product into it. So I think we probably will. I would like to think that we'll have, an announcement of, how far along Taika's movie is, how far along Patty Jenkins' movie is. But I can't see them. I can't see one coming out in 2023 because you're gonna have to start shooting that movie really quickly in order to get it into post-production quick for all the visual effects. And I just can't see it having enough time to do that. And also, as I said, that 2023 is just a provisional date that they put in place where no other movies the Disney company owns will be coming out around that time, if that makes sense. So they haven't really lost anything. But I think just take your time. If the movie's going to take an extra year to make, take the extra year, make sure it's good. I think is the most important thing. Kat, are you hoping for any movie news?
No, I'm not. I think, if anything, Star Wars is benefiting from having so much on Disney Plus's television series. Movies are fantastic sweeping cinema, but I do believe that television series allow for so much more character development and growth because you have more time for character arcs and to dedicate to those quiet moments that build a character. So if you've got a Disney Plus series, there is so much time to do that because you can have anything between 8 to 12 hours worth of screen time to do that, which you just don't have with a movie. And I also think that with the movies, I mean, Patty Jenkins's Rogue Squadron was meant to be set after Episode 9, but to go into that area of space now after the sequel trilogy, I think is quite difficult because you didn't really set up those sequel trilogy characters to continue afterwards. And I think looking at the space more between sort of Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens and before, like they're doing with the Acolyte, it makes better sense to be looking at that area of the Star Wars timeline rather than after the sequels. So I am actually fully for Star Wars just being on Disney Plus, and I actually wouldn't mind if there wasn't another sort of big Star Wars movie, because I think that Disney Plus is doing such an amazing job with so many different characters in a different storytelling medium that is working.
Yeah, I think a very good point about Rogue Squad. We heard that it was rumored to be set after the events of the sequel trilogy. I think they could change that whenever they want. It's still in development. The script's probably not even tied down yet. Do you know what I mean? Patty Jenkins could make an X-Wing movie in any era. She could make it in before the original trilogy. She could make it during the original trilogy. She could make it after the original trilogy. I think that's something that they could change on the fly in the writing process. I think to sort that out. I think I do want to see a Star Wars movie in cinemas. I love watching Star Wars in the movie theater. But again, I want it to be the right project, the right movie that the creators had time to make. So for me, there's no hurry. Let's just take our time and get that right. I think speaking of interviews this week that I know James Burns from Jedi News and Charlotte and Caton from Sky Talkers were part of, as well as other outlets, interviewing sort of Deborah Chow, Moses Ingram, and Hugh McGregor about Kenobi. And in those interviews, Hugh McGregor was saying, it's quite cool. We get to spend sort of six episodes with Kenobi, so it's like almost like say 6 hours instead of a 1.5 hour, 2 hour movie. And that is the benefit, as you said, Kat, about these Disney Plus series, is that we can flush these characters out a bit more, give them a bit more to chew on, and it gives us more content as well, which is obviously fantastic. Ian, I think you were saying that you were hoping to see like a Thrawn tease. Obviously, Ahsoka has been shooting, not very long, couple of weeks, but I think for me, I don't know if he's been on set yet, but if Thrawn is in the series and he has been on set, it would cost nothing for Dave Filoni to sort of take a picture of like from behind of Thrawn, standing with his back to us with his hands crossed behind his back, the Thrawn pose, put it in black and white, and then show that on the screen. The place is going to go mental. The tweet that picture goes out on from the official account is going to go mental with retweets and likes and people commenting on it. Something so simple but so effective, which the Star Wars Twitter account and Star Wars social media teams are sort of gearing more towards now. Over the past few months, we've seen a big change in how they interact with people and what they share, for the better, in my opinion. So let's keep that going. I think for me, I'm hoping to see Andor. I would love to see a trailer. By the time we get to Andor, Kenobi will be out. So I think that's released that Andor trailer. Let's not wait. Let's get it out there and get everybody buzzing. I would love to see an Andor behind the scenes sizzle reel, similar to the Rogue One sizzle reel, where you got a celebration in London in 2016, which was fantastic. Like I said, I want to hear more about Dave talking about the Ahsoka series and what we're going to see. I know he probably can't show us much because it's still being shot, but it's just him talking about the feel of the show and sort of what we're going to see Ahsoka go through. I think it would be really cool to see Dave talk about that. I think for me, just surprises, things that I'm not expecting. I'm hoping that there's some things that we haven't spoken about, that we can't think of, that are going to come out of left field and surprise us, that are going to have us talking loads. So yeah, fingers crossed for that. Kat, what's your live stream setup like? Are you going to be watching on your phone, or are you going to be watching on like YouTube through your television?
I'm probably actually going to have it on my laptop, which has a good enough screen anyway, because then I can just either have it on my desk, so I can sort of have it on in the background, or I can just have it on my bed with some snacks. But yeah, I find the laptop is the easiest way for me to watch it.
Ian, what's your setup going to be?
For the big panels, I'll stick it on the telly. If obviously Lucy's at work, and if not, I'll have it on my laptop.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be trying to stream it on the telly as much as I can. Obviously, PlayStation's plugged into there, but you can get YouTube through, which is my favourite setup to watch things on. Worst case scenario, I'll put it on my laptop in the office if Louise is wanting to watch something downstairs. But yeah, I think really excited for Celebration. The FOMO has hit, sort of the fear of missing out, as everybody's arriving in Anaheim this week. A lot of people hitting Disneyland up and going to Galaxy's Edge, which looks fantastic. But you can't go to every one. I've been looking to go to 3 so far. One in Chicago, one in Orlando, and one in London. So I'll be looking to go again. I think my advice to anybody who sort of thinks about how can you make it work is to try and make a holiday out of it. So if it's at a destination, say it's in Florida, obviously Florida's a really good holiday destination, so you could tie in going there, having a holiday at Florida, and then having a little celebration in the middle or at the end or at the beginning of the holiday. I think when I went to Chicago for celebration, we wanted to go to Chicago, so we went to Chicago. We did like maybe 5-6 days in Chicago before celebration, and then after celebration we flew to Toronto because it's not that far away, and did like 5 days in Toronto. So it was sort of a nice holiday for those people who really aren't into Star Wars as much as we are. They get to have a good holiday as well. I had a great time in before celebration and when I went to Toronto as well. So my advice is to try and turn it into make the most of your trip. Your flights are going to be the same money. So if you can be there a bit longer and experience some holiday stuff at the same time, it's sort of 2 birds, 1 stone. Rather than just I'm going to go and do a celebration trip on its own, and it's going to cost X amount. So there's ways to work it that way. But the word FOMO, fear of missing out, I think we're all feeling it. But I think to turn it on its head and as a positive, we've got the live streams. Twitter's going to be going berserk. We're going to be able to communicate with each other on Twitter, through social media, through group chats, through messaging. I think for me personally, as I said, I fly to Turkey on Saturday, so I could watch the Sunday's stream by the pool. So instead of FOMO as fear of missing out, we could say FOMO is fun on my own. It's going to be fun either way. But yeah, we've nearly talked for an hour, and we have hardly spoke about Kenobi yet, which is something else we plan to do. Kat, have you got any closing thoughts on Celebration before we move on to Kenobi?
Just medals to everybody in the UK and Europe who are going to actually be staying up to watch every live stream into the early hours of the morning. And I totally agree. Fun on my own. This is brilliant. Turn FOMO upside down. Put on your Star Wars music. Put on all your Star Wars jackets, t-shirts, socks. Grab your Star Wars plushes and just make it celebration at your home, and we just make it your own, because we can't all go to Celebration, but we can all bring celebration to us.
We can indeed. Iain, any closing thoughts on Celebration?
Like I said, just echo what Kat said. I can't wait just to sit down, see what we've got planned for the next couple of years, what they're going to announce, and I can't wait. It's a fun weekend. Like I said, I get to speak to everyone. Everyone gets to obviously share in their fandom of Star Wars, and there's always cool videos and clips from the thing. And I'm just looking forward to it.
Indeed, I think it's going to be special. Obviously, we haven't had one since 2019, so I'm really looking forward to seeing sort of what announcements we get, and also seeing people's reactions who are there. Obviously, living vicariously through Instagram stories and tweets and TikToks and things like that, and seeing how people are doing. And obviously those live stream feeds on the main stages, seeing the sort of the hysteria in the crowds. It's going to be a shot in adrenaline to all of us. Obviously celebrations this weekend. Also Kenobi starts on Friday, 27th, double episode premiere. Iain, let's go straight to you. What's some of the things you're most looking forward to about the Kenobi series?
Apart from the obvious, obviously, Hayden Christensen being back, Ewan, Darth Vader and all that type of stuff, I'm really excited to get into the Inquisitor side of things, see how they operate. Obviously, we've seen a bit in Rebels and that, but I would never thought we would have saw Fortress Inquisitorius in live action. I never thought we'd see any of that we saw in Jedi Fallen Order. I think that's really cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the Inquisitors operate, how they interact with one another. I think I can imagine it being quite competitive and not the greatest working environment, if you know what I mean. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to what brings them to Tatooine. Obviously, I've heard rumours of what actually brings them to Tatooine and why they're there. Because obviously Obi-Wan's just been led to believe Obi-Wan's just been living in a cave, not really making any noise. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really intrigued by Mos Ingram's character as well, the third sister. I think everything I've seen in the trailer, I think she could potentially obviously it's still obviously about Obi Wan Kenobi and Anakin, but I feel like she could steal the show with her performance. So there's some of the things I'm looking forward to, mate.
Kat, what about you? What's the favourite things you're most excited about coming from the Kenobi series?
I think I'm looking forward to Owen grilling everybody because of the memes. I just want Owen to grill everybody. I think I want to see Obi-Wan's relationship with his EOP because I think that's going to be super cute. And currently within the Star Wars television series, all we seem to be getting are these really powerful guys like Boba Fett and the Mandalorian just becoming all soft for creatures. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I think I'm definitely looking forward to this new side of Obi-Wan where he's lost his hope, and I think he's lost his faith, and it's going to be this sort of new side to Obi-Wan, because by the time we get to A New Hope, he's gained a lot of wisdom, but he's not hopeless. But from what we've seen in the trailers, here he is quite hopeless. I think he's going to be carrying a lot of guilt, because if he had stopped Anakin sooner, if he had realized that Anakin was taking the dark side, I think he blames himself for Anakin's fall and possibly for the fall of the Jedi, because that happened at Anakin's hands, which you can more or less then bring back to Obi-Wan himself. So I'm looking forward to the character exploration there, and it will be interesting to see what Moses Ingram's The Third Sister is like, because the Inquisitors are a fascinating part of the Star Wars mythology about the Empire. They're fascinating in the comics and in Rebels. And of course, there's a lot of explanation needed of, well, why isn't she in the comics or Rebels? So there's a lot of story there, and there's a lot of speculation, which I'm really excited to see how that will play out.
Well, indeed, I think some of the things I'm excited for is, as I think you both mentioned, sort of the Inquisitors, having watched Rebels, read the comics, and then obviously experienced the Inquisitors through the Jedi Fallen Order video game. I think, they are a very cool group, dark side force users. So they're very cool, very intense. Also quite, what do it will be? Let's use the word interesting for lack of a better term, but I think, the fact that they were all sort of Jedi or connected to the Jedi in some way, who were sort of tortured so much that they turned. Because again, I don't think it would have been a case of where it was like, oh, turn now and join us to be Inquisitors. It would have been like a horrible process of turning them, if that makes sense. And some would have died and some would have turned. If that makes sense, like how the Empire would have created these Inquisitors. So I think if we get a bit of the insight into that could be very emotional, very tragic, very gripping stuff. I want to see, we know Vader's in the series, but I want to see how the Inquisitors interact along with Vader, and also how Vader in turn interacts with the Emperor. I think we are going to get Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor in this show, probably as a one-off scene maybe, but I'm excited to see how that sort of hierarchy rules. And you've also got, the Inquisitors, Vader and the Emperor doing their thing, but then you've also got the Imperial Navy, the Imperial officers, who sort of operate a bit differently as well. So sort of seeing how all that works is going to be very interesting. We have seen pictures of Imperial officers. I think one is, I've forgotten her name now, but one of the ladies from Game of Thrones, who was sort of that family of warriors. I think she's one of these Imperial officers, so quite a good casting for a character who maybe is more than just an Imperial officer, maybe gets a bit more screen time. I think Obi-Wan, I think you're right, he's going to be feeling guilt, he's going to be blaming himself at times. And then I hope he realises that, it's also actually, Anakin could have come to it at any time and told him, but Anakin never does. So, Anakin's decisions are Anakin's decisions at the end of the day. But so I hope he has a realisation where he knows that. I think we are going to see that sort of tragic side where Obi-Wan's going to be blaming himself for the fall of Anakin. which obviously led to the Fall of the Jedi. Obviously, in Star Wars Rebels, we see sort of Yoda communing with Ezra sort of through the Force, especially when they're in that temple on Lothal. So I want to see, can Yoda maybe commune with Obi-Wan through the Force while Obi-Wan's in his cave? Will we see Qui-Gon Jinn commune with Obi-Wan? Obi-Wan's gone to Tatooine for two reasons: one, to look after Luke, and then two, Yoda give him a training so he could communicate with the dead. So I want to see Obi-Wan. Maybe Obi-Wan is self-doubting himself, but maybe it takes a message from Yoda, a message from Qui-Gon to really sort of revigorate him and turn him into this wise old monk we see in the original trilogy. I think the series we're gonna see Kenobi go from like sort of broken man who maybe has a little bit of hope left because he's there to look after Luke, but other than that, he's sort of depressed, very down, and blames himself for everything. And then hopefully by the end of it, we're gonna see a man who's turns into this Alec Guinness wise old monk type character, which I think will be fantastic. I think Reva's connected Obi-Wan in some way from the Jedi days. We'll find out. Maybe Reva was queued up to be his next apprentice, maybe, or something like that before the fall. As we've learned in books, Jedi Masters often take, once they finish with one apprentice, take another one. So after Anakin's knighted, who's to say after the Clone Wars that they didn't have a new Padawan for Obi-Wan to take? Especially with the lack of Jedi Masters, because a lot of them were killed during the Clone Wars. So the pressure will probably be on for him to take that. I'm going to ask you two questions. We'll go to Iain first. The percentage is 36%, okay? Over or under 36%? Do we see Qui-Gon in this series?
Over, mate, yeah, 100%. I think we see him, yeah. I think that's nailed on, to be honest. I do.
Kat, same question to you.
Over. I think if Qui-Gon isn't in this series, I will riot.
I think so as well. I think it's over. Next one. Do you think that Reva sort of does have a bigger connection to Obi-Wan than just being in the Jedi Order? Go to you, Kat, first.
Yes, I think it would make more of an emotional connection and it would deepen her story if she did have some kind of past with somebody, whether that's as a Padawan, a youngling, or as an ally at some point to a Jedi, either Obi-Wan himself or somebody connected to Obi-Wan.
And Iain, same thing to you. Do you think Reva's connected to Obi-Wan more than just the fact that we're both in the Jedi Order together?
I don't think she is. Maybe just to be contrary. I think it'd be a lot to explain that in a series with 6 things that all these two had a relationship before. I don't mean like a romantic one, but obviously a relationship like that. So I don't think she is. I think she's purely motivated on the fact that she knows how much Vader wants Obi-Wan, and the fact that if she's the one who brings Vader Obi-Wan, then she'll be rewarded. I think that's her motivating factor.
And last question, go to you, Kat, first. Do you think that Reva knows that Vader is Anakin?
No, I don't think she would. Very few people within the Empire knew Vader's true identity. So, no, I don't think she does.
Iain, what do you think?
No, I don't think she does either. Like Kat said, I think there's only a few. I think off the top of my head, the only people who knew, and these people who literally just figured out themselves is Emperor, Thrawn, and Tarkin. They're the only ones who figured out who Darth Vader is. I don't think that she knows that he is Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, so I agree. I don't think she knows. I think, bringing up Tarkin, I think it sums it up perfectly in the Tarkin book when Tarkin sort of works it out, and he lets you know in the book that he's worked out that he's pretty sure that Anakin is Vader, but he also lets you know that, like, I'm not gonna I'm not going to reference that ever when I speak to him or when I speak to anyone else. Like, I work it out, but it saves. That doesn't serve any good to anyone if I start blabbing that out. So I'm just going to keep that to myself.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything, which I think is, quite an important thing that someone like Tarkin feels that way about it. Yeah. Any closing thoughts on Obi Wan Kenobi?
I think it's the hype now has just reached such an intense pitch that I just can't wait for it on Friday. And it's sort of really tricky. I think people who want to watch either Stranger Things or Kenobi, you've got to, if you're a Star Wars fan, Kenobi comes first.
100%, I agree with that.
Yeah, I'll not be checking Stranger Things out for probably at least a week, probably more, because I think, the double episode comes out on a Friday. I'll be watching that. Then, it'll be a case of, getting ready to fly to Turkey, Star Wars Celebration news hitting, and then, by the time I get back from Turkey, it's going to be like still digesting the Celebration news and more episodes of Kenobi being available. So I like Stranger Things, but it's probably going to be, for me, it might even be on the back burner after Kenobi's finished. Just because of how I consume things. Last one, I've just thought of a question to ask before we go. Ian sort of already spoke about this with me, but I'll bring it up anyway. We'll go to you first, Kat. Do you think that Owen is the one who called in Inquisitors to come and get Kenobi, and then realise he made a big mistake after?
Oh my gosh, that actually is a really fair point. I actually could see him doing that. Oh my gosh, if Owen betrays Obi-Wan like that, oh my gosh, no wonder. That would explain why they hate each other so much. That's my mind blown now until Friday.
I think it's probably not, but I think, Owen doesn't understand what the Empire is and like all that jazz. So like maybe he's like, oh well, like I really want this Kenobi to leave her alone. I don't know, I'll like ring the police and put a call in. Like, do you know what I mean? Puts the call in. He doesn't realise that all these Inquisitors rock up and start hanging people in the street. He realises how bad they are, and he's like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. And maybe, that's what starts it all. Maybe not. It's just a wild theory. Just a wild theory. Ian, obviously, we've spoken about that before, but how do you feel? Do you think there's a chance that Owen's the one who put the call in to the Empire about Obi-Wan?
No, I don't think there is. I think it'll be someone coming to Tatooine that brings the Inquisitors after them. That's what I think. I don't think Owen would have the facility to ring the Empire, to be fair. But no, I think someone will bring the Inquisitors to Tatooine. I do think Owen might think about it when the Inquisitors are there betraying Obi-Wan, but I don't think he will. No.
Spot on. Well, that brings the end of the episode, I think. Ian, have you got any closing thoughts on Kenobi? And then we'll wrap it up.
Just really excited. I've just seen now that Hayden and Ewan have done a Lad Bible Agree to Disagree video, so I'm going to watch that when we finish this, which is awesome. So that's fun. But no, just really excited now.
Definitely. I think for me, what's popped up this morning is, as I said, I think there's quite a few media outlets interviewed sort of Hugh McGregor, Moses Ingram, and Deborah Chow sort of this week. I know James Burns from Giant News and Charlotte and Caitlin from Sky Talkers were both involved in that. Some great questions asked and some great answers. Hayden Christensen was meant to be on the call but couldn't make it. So I believe the outlets are catching up with Hayden one-on-one this week. So I know that Sky Talkers already have caught up with him yesterday. So they've already edited that and put it up. So if you listen to the Sky Talkers podcast, you can, in the podcast feed is their interview with Hayden Christensen. And obviously stay tuned to all the outlets. I imagine Jedi News will be sitting down with them as well. So that'll be going out as well on their podcast. So yeah, a chance to really sort of listen to some awesome Kenobi interviews before watching the show to get really hyped. I definitely recommend listening to the, like I said, the one with Hugh McGregor, Moses Ingram, and Deborah Chow was fantastic. So definitely check that out. Like I said, I think different outlets interview them, but I think they've all got the audio up. So definitely go to if you go to JediNews.com, you'll be able to find a link to that one there. And then obviously this Hayden one's just dropped this morning, which I haven't listened to yet, but I'm expecting big things. So definitely have a listen to get you really hyped up. Kat, where can the people find you on social media?
You can find me at Kat Kylo On Twitter, always happy to talk Star Wars and anything Kylo Ren.
And Iain, where can people find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter at Star Wars Iain. And like I said, I'll talk to anyone about Star Wars. So at Star Wars Iain on Twitter.
Spot on. If anybody's listening, you need to tweet Iain just saying Owen will betray Obi-Wan.
Please don't.
And then Iain will to be fair, I'm not one of the things to be fair, so it'll just be me tweeting you, mate.
Yeah, it's fabulous. That's fabulous.
But I'll send it like 2 million times, so it'll feel like everyone. No, I'm just joking. We're not really trolls here. But no, thank you very much for joining us, guys. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Boars at the Star. You can find the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Star Wars Podcast. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Jolly Jedi Pete. If you are listening to this podcast, on Apple Music or on Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review. A nice comment helps us move up the charts, be more visible for new listeners. Also helps us book sort of new guests, new people to come on the show. Would be wonderful. If you've already done that, thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. And if you haven't and you've got a moment, only takes probably less than a minute, just please leave us a top review, a nice comment on sort of whatever podcast app you listen to. If it lets you do it, please do that. If you go to Star Wars Celebration, have a safe travels, have a great time. We're looking forward to hearing what you all think about it on social media. If you're watching from home, hope you have all the best snacks available. I know, obviously, tonight and tomorrow night I am home, so I've got my jammy wagon wheels ready to scran while I'm watching the live streams. Hopefully, going to get some chocolate milkshake as well if Louise lets me. Although I've been told with my diet I'm going to die. And then obviously when I'm in Turkey, it'll be beers by the beach, not the beach, sorry, beers by the pool. As I watch the live stream there, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, everybody be safe. Everybody enjoy Kenobi. Everybody enjoy Star Wars Celebration. And remember, always tell that to Kanja Club.
Hello, Star Wars listeners. This is Savannah Odit. You might know me as host of The Dorky Diva Show with my co-host Brian Balance. I am also producer of The Adventures of the Zolan Dart, which is a Star Wars-inspired audio drama that we produced over the last year. If you love stories about smugglers, courage, heroic characters, and maybe a few foes along the way, you should go to thedorkydivashow.com and listen to The Adventures of the Zolan Dart today.
Shout! We've got your pigs.
Were any of the critters harmed?
What did you do now?
I didn't do anything. I just freaked out for no reason.
It was nice doing business with you again. Maybe next time we could deliver something less temperamental.
Now, what you call temperamental, I call fun.
Hey, is there a place nearby where I can make some repairs?
3 clicks south of here, you'll find a small spaceport. They should have what you need, as long as it's nothing too big.
Dynamic class? My stars, you don't hear about many of those still being space-worthy.
It's been in my family for a while.
She's pretty great. Any chance you have a hover cart we can use to load up?
I'll check out the HoloNet to see if anything new has come up in the sector.
My name is Sereth Khan. I am the chief here on Kamai. My people and I have been experiencing food shortages as of late due to unforeseen natural occurrences. We are looking to hire someone.
I say we take this one. The pay is great, and it's the type of job we're familiar with.
Welcome. You must be Captain Otoa. I've already sent word to Pac 2 to expect you in the next cycle or so.
You told him we were coming before we even accepted the job. That's rather presumptuous, isn't it?
Perhaps, though once I received confirmation that you were interested and on your way here, I couldn't help but hope.
Fair enough. Well, we'll be back as soon as we can.
Well, that's not good.
Is that blaster fire I hear?
So you're the one.
Captain, it sounds like they want to do this the hard way.
I love when they got some fight in them.
This is bad. This is bad.
We're about to have a lot of company.
I'll see you soon.